Today we're going to be watching a video called The Philosophy of VTubers. So one thing about me is like, I know I'm a VTuber, but I'm not really too tapped in with the VTuber community in general. Like I know some of the bigger VTubers. I know about, I can name, I think, well actually this isn't bad. I know four of the six people on screen right now, that's it. But I don't really watch their content like that. I don't really know stuff like that. I kind of just stick to myself and my small group of VTubers that I actually watch. So this should be an interesting video.
Happy Halloween! Just kidding, it's April Fools. VTubers, short for virtual YouTubers, is a recent online phenomenon in which...
For the longest, before I became a VTuber, I never knew what VTuber stood for. I thought it was just like the word was just VTuber, but I guess when you think about it, it's virtual tubers, it makes sense. The reason I became a VTuber, the biggest reason, is because I thought the technology is cool as fuck. Obviously I like anime, but like I appreciate art, all kinds of art, and I thought just the idea of a VTuber is like, it's cool to me. It's cool as fuck to me. And it's still like not mainstream, still a very niche thing, even though it is growing really quickly. That's why you get a lot of shitty comments and people saying it's cringe, blah, blah, blah. And I can see why they say that, but give it a couple more years, I think it'll definitely be more mainstream and you won't be seeing that type of content or really that type of comments. Of course, there's always going to be people that don't like something just because it's different, but...
These are some sort of creepy anime waifu bullshit. But that's not really helpful. That's just being judgmental.
Bro, thank you. So I've seen other videos, similar topics like this, and they'll just like, all they do is rail into VTubers now. It's cringe and lame, blah, blah, blah. And they almost sound like that person who's kind of out of date, who doesn't keep up with like the late like trends. You know, they kind of just stopped keeping up with things and they sound like that the grumpy old person on the internet.
To learn new things, and I assume you do too. So today, let me share my thoughts on the phenomenon. Allow my nerdy ass to take you on a quick dive. Let's explore the hidden appeal and philosophy of VTubers.
This guy seems like he's going to be a little less unbiased than most people when it comes to this topic.
Here are all the currently active Japanese VTubers in the agency Hololive.
Holy shit, there's so many.
One thing that
See, this is what I'm talking about. Most of these, like 98% of these, maybe 99% of these, I don't know who they are because I'm not really tapped into like other people's community. I just do my own thing. That's really all I care about. But sometimes I feel like that could be a detriment because like, not that I'm trying to, you know, collaborate with anybody here. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a long ways off and I don't even know if I would, but like building, I guess, just understanding what other people do would probably help my own content in a sense, but I just don't. I don't know why.
With time, the VTuber market became more competitive. The need for each character to stand out also grew. And since...
Is it just me or like, I don't really vibe with when like large companies, well, we're starting to see it more, but there's like large companies that are getting into the VTuber space and they have like a VTuber model that represents their brand. It feels kind of sterile and like weird to me. I'm not into it.
Only the top half of the bodies are visible during streaming. A lot of emphasis are put on the horns, hairs, and boobs. It's also the reason.
Yeah, when it comes to VTuber models, one thing I did learn, and I'm gonna keep in mind when I design my next model, this is gonna be a while from now, but you definitely want to focus on the face, the upper body. That's the most important part of your VTuber model. That's where people are going to be watching mostly. So I definitely, like, I like my model now, but I definitely already have some ideas on how I can change things up the next time.
Many VTubers have wings on the head, even though when you think about it, it makes no goddamn sense.
It doesn't. Flying away with wings on your head is crazy. It's actually crazy. And I also like this, that we're getting more unique VTuber designs. Like there's more people coming into the market. And so even like with the indie scene, we're starting to see like more unique designs instead of just your typical anime girl or guy, school, chill, whatever, like he just said. You're starting to see actual unique designs. Like I'm the first, as far as like someone having my type of design, I can't say for sure because there's a lot of people on the internet, but I feel like I'm the first person to have this kind of VTube model as far as like the Power Ranger henshin vibe that I'm going for. I haven't seen anybody else really do this type of thing. That's not to say there aren't other people who've done it before. I feel like I might be one of the first people who've done it.
Now we have a warden of time with a...
I know Crony. Crony's funny.
a half angel, half demon songstress with a black and white motif, and this. I don't know how to explain that one.
That's cool.
Notice that I'm no longer just describing the appearance.
What is that?
Rather,
I don't.
explaining the
Yeah,
look by
I've seen her model around that VTuber. I don't think I watch her, but that is a cool model. I like the
who they are.
tails or whatever they are.
What does a Warden of Time looks like? But that's the best description to explain why she has a clock on her head. She is, in fact, not a helicopter. As VTuber designs grew more elaborate, so did their backstories. The newest English and Japanese group from this agency.
I don't really have a back. I never really thought about lore for my VTuber model. Like I have a little bit, but I don't think it's that big a deal to me as it is to other VTubers. I wonder if that's something I should incorporate more. I just want to make, honestly, I just want to make content as a VTuber. I don't really think too much about the other stuff, but maybe that really helped my branding or people being interested. I don't know. Something to think about, I suppose.
From the earliest days.
Oh, I remember this person. What is Amy something? Amy Yamato or something like that? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I do remember seeing this person on YouTube a while ago. I never really thought about how long like the concept of a VTuber been around before like the phrase was even coined. Very interesting.
VTubers are actors trying to sell you a persona.
I suppose that's true. I don't think all VTubers do that thing. I don't really do the persona thing. I kind of just myself in my videos. I guess maybe I'll dial it up a little bit sometimes, but like I'm not really playing a character. That's something to think about, I suppose. I feel like that'd be exhausting though. That's why I don't do it.
They stream, they interact with fans, and they accept interviews all while staying in character. Like pro wrestling.
He's choking the shit out of him.
I don't know how many times I can bring up
It's a
wrestling
funny
on this
clip.
channel, but damn it, I will do it every time I have the chance. Yes, VTubers are similar to wrestlers, especially on the concept of kayfabe. In case you don't know, professional wrestling is, by and large, a scripted entertainment. It sells a heightened...
I see where he's going with this.
knows it's fake, but nevertheless, is willing to accept as real. That is kayfabe. Fictional scripted stories presented as reality. The example I often use is The Undertaker.
I haven't watched wrestling since it was WWF, so I don't. But I'm interested to see where he's going with this. I have an idea where he's going with it, comparing VTubers to wrestling. But there are some key differences. I'll see if he brings them up in a second.
It is a form of storytelling that put the fourth wall behind the audience, creating a narrative space that includes the fans. In the same vein, the VTuber scene can be understood as one giant...
Yeah, he's going exactly where I thought.
Hi, honey.
The fans agree to the fictional backstory of each streamer. In return, they can temporarily escape reality.
Hey, guys.
So my thing is, I feel like not all VTubers do that type of thing, and I don't think it's as heavy as it is in wrestling. Wrestling is way more in-depth when it comes to that storytelling and believability. But when it comes to VTubers, like, yeah, you have your lore and stuff like that, but it's, from what I see personally, it's not as big a deal as it is in a wrestling. You don't necessarily need that when it comes to VTubing. And I don't think everybody goes, the majority of VTubers don't go like 100% all in on playing a character all the time, because I think it's exhausting. But wrestling, you need that. For wrestling to be good, you need that believability. You have to accept it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining this right. Wrestling wouldn't be good if it didn't have this, that storyline going with it, I personally think. But VTubing and VTubers would be just fine if they didn't have like the backstory or they really play into the lore. That's the only difference that I see. I hope I explained that like well.
Some may say that's just how all streamers work.
I don't think that's true. All streamers don't work like that. Seeing a real person on the screen, it's way more grounded, I guess you could say. It's not the same thing as, and real streamers don't have lore like that. They're just normal people streaming. You know what I mean? You don't have this crazy made up lore to pull people in. You don't have a crazy design. It's different. It's definitely different.
With or without an avatar. A streamer will have to put on a persona to entertain. Your public-facing persona is always different from your private personality.
And I agree with that. Like, there's definitely, when it comes to content creation and streaming and stuff like that, whether people say it or not, your favorite content creators are not the same as when they're not streaming, and rightfully so, because when you're streaming, you want to be entertaining. You can't necessarily just be yourself. Like, you want to be yourself, but you want to be yourself times two, because you know that saying where how the camera adds 10 pounds or whatever? Well, the camera also subtracts from your naturally subtracts from your personality. So you definitely want to dial it up a notch when you're on stream and when you're on camera, because it makes it more interesting. You can't just be on camera, on stream, super low energy and boring and being normal. Like, that might be how you are normally, and it's fine in the real world, but when it comes to people wanting to be entertained and watch your stream, you definitely want to dial it up just a little bit. That's why people aren't the same as when they're off stream as when they're on stream. It's just naturally that it makes sense. Same thing when you watch people on TV or watch a show or a movie or whatever. The actors and stuff like that, they're not like that in real life, but they understand you want to perform to a certain degree, so people are entertained when they're watching you.
True, many of us know that. Yet at the same time, people still expect a sort of sincerity from YouTubers. Reaction videos.
I mean, you can still be sincere. You can still be, like I said, you can still be yourself and you can still be sincere, but it's like, again, just dialing it up a notch.
Blind playthroughs, we expect genuine reactions. This is where YouTubers have an advantage. Because of the obviously fictional backstories, the kayfabe removed the promise of sincerity. Instead, it invites you to play along. Much the same way how magicians let you know that the show isn't real, counterintuitively, VTubers can feel more honest. The stage look of wrestling isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's a fantasy in which actors enact the idea.
Yeah, this is something different. Well, I mean, I guess you can apply it to VTubing, but this is also something different. Personally, I have a pet peeve when people watch movies, like especially horror movies, and they'll be like, oh man, that horror movie was bad because this person really wouldn't do that type of thing. But that's the whole point of a horror movie. You have to suspend your disbelief. Obviously, nobody would do the things that people would do in a horror movie, but that's the whole point of watching a horror movie, because it's fun and interesting. I think some people kind of, I don't know, they want realism where they shouldn't.
It doesn't have to look real, it just have to feel cool.
Exactly.
You want it to be true, at least for a moment.
I like this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
This explains why some people, a lot of people, choose to watch a 2D sprite being lewd rather than other more explicit forms of adult entertainment.
That's a whole different can of worms, to be honest with you. That's like a whole another video when it comes to like people who do VTubing and they do like the super adult stuff. That stuff is kind of weird to me, but I get it. You know, sex sells. Sex absolutely sells. It's always going to sell since the beginning of time. That's like one of the biggest things when it comes to business. One of the most classic things. Sex sells, man, and it's always going to be there. It's always going to infiltrate just about everything, at least in America, man. I don't know.
It may not look real, but it sure feels real. Before we go, it's worth addressing the marks of the fandom. A mark is
that was a mark.
A wrestling fan who treats kayfabe as if it's actually reality, whether due to ignorance or, more likely, overcommitment to their roles as a fan. In the VTuber scene and in idol culture in general, this can lead to toxic parasocial relationships, which can lead to, and had led to, unfortunate events.
That's another can of worms that I don't think you can get into in this video. The whole parasocial thing. It's like that argument is it's interesting to me because it's not just VTubers that this thing's happened to. It's happened to like live streamers, IRL people. It's just for some reason with VTubers, people make it even more of a big thing when it's always been a big thing when it comes to content creation stuff on YouTube. Ever since, even before YouTube, people watching TV shows and their favorite actors become really attached. This isn't anything new, but for some reason with VTubers, people make it seem like it's a new thing, and I wonder why that is. Is it because it's just a new form of, you know, content creation and entertainment that people haven't fully understand yet because it's not mainstream? It's definitely an interesting thing that you could probably go and take a deep dive into.
So don't be a mark. Still, maybe I'm just optimistic, or maybe I'm a transhumanist. But knowing that there is a widely available technology that allows people to create their own persona, letting them safely express themselves in ways they prefer, it makes me happy. And
he gets it, bro. Give it up for this guy, bro. This is I don't know who this is. This is my first video watching by this dude, but he gets it. He's not just slamming VTubers. He's not just saying VTubers are cringe, blah, 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 why I hate VTubers. It seems like he actually took the time to explore what the medium was and why people like it. I fuck with this guy. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it and I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and check out some of these other videos on my channel. You might like them as well.